trading at $16.79 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,264 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 4.9 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $2,586. Antiwar.com reports Taliban forces attacked an Afghan military base in the Kandahar province, overrunning the base and killing at least 26 soldiers, wounding 13 others. Locals say hundreds of Taliban attacked the base in all directions and the battle lasted for hours. The death tolls appear to be very much in dispute. 26 is the minimum reported killed, but the initial Afghan intelligence report said 40 were slain, and the Taliban itself claimed to have killed over 70 soldiers. The Afghani Defense Ministry claimed to have killed or wounded around 80 Taliban. The Afghan Defense Ministry also confirmed that 7 soldiers were kidnapped in the incident and that there are another 21 soldiers missing outright. The Taliban confirmed that they had taken 7 captives in the raid. Also significant, the Taliban reported that in overrunning the base, they seized large amounts of weapons and vehicles that were at the site at the time. This has become a growing problem, with the Taliban increasingly securing large amounts of U.S.-provided weapons from Afghan military and police in such fighting. Born into a devastating world and raised among the crowd, the Cloudwalker assumes a new identity and begins the unrelenting quest for truth. In this epic journey, he discovers dark secrets about aspects of his previous life that he once trusted. Through the journal of the Cloudwalker, he shares both the traumatic hardships and the eternal beauties of his experiences. Dear Society by the Cloudwalker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. UPI reports the Transportation Security Administration announced Wednesday that it will require passengers to remove all electronics larger than a cell phone, such as tablets and e-readers, from their carry-on bags due to an increased threat in aviation security. The electronics will have to be placed in a bin and put through an X-ray screener, similar to how laptops are currently handled. The TSA said it had been doing pilot testing of the increased screening at 10 airports across the country and will eventually expand to all U.S. airports in the coming months. In addition, TSA said passengers could experience more bag checks when going through security, but said it had improved screening procedures with quicker, more targeted measures to clear the bags. Acting TSA Administrator Hubin A. Gawadia said it is critical for TSA to constantly enhance and adjust security screening procedures to stay ahead of evolving threats and keep passengers safe. By separating personal electronic items such as laptops, tablets, and e-readers and handheld game consoles for screening, TSA officers can more closely focus on resolving alarms and stopping terror threats. TSA advises passengers to keep their electronics organized and easily accessible in their carry-on bags to keep the lines moving. The new security measures come 1 month after DHS Secretary John Kelly announced he would push for more stringent security measures to be enforced in airports. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports President Donald Trump said on Wednesday he would ban transgender people from the U.S. military, a move appealing to some in his conservative political base, but sowing confusion about the fate of thousands of transgender individuals in the military. The surprise announcement by Trump, who as a presidential candidate last year vowed to fight for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people, came in a series of morning Twitter posts. It drew condemnation from rights groups and some lawmakers in both parties as discrimination with purely political motives, but was praised by conservative activists and some Republicans. Trump spokeswoman Sarah Sanders said the administration had not yet decided whether transgender service members already in the military would be immediately thrown out, saying the White House and Pentagon would have to work that out. The decision reverses a policy from former President Barack Obama and halts years of efforts to eliminate barriers to military service based on sexual orientation or gender identity. Trump tweeted, "After consultation with my generals and military experts, please be advised that the United States government will not accept or allow transgender individuals to serve in any capacity in the U.S. military." Trump did not name any of the generals or experts. The Pentagon referred questions about Trump's decision to the White House. The tweet caught some White House officials by surprise. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
A Japanese-American internment facility was still in operation in the mountains of Northern California. The facility should have been closed in 1945 and its 6,000 residents released, but unfortunately the camp was overlooked until this week. I am happy to announce, however, that the remaining 118 detainees have now been fully exonerated of suspicion of spying for General Tojo, and they have been freed. Next item of business. The President will be meeting with the Australian Prime Minister, Kevin Rudd. Yes, Denise?
This is a huge oversight. How could this have happened?
Well, Denise, it looks like the camp just somehow slipped through the cracks. The end of the Second World War was a hectic time in America, and it's only natural that we let a couple of things slip in our excitement over defeating the Nazis.
Who was going to be held responsible for this?
Congressional investigation?
No, there won't. In fact, the War Relocation Authority was responsible for the decommissioning of the internment facilities, but that organization ceased to exist in 1946, so no.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. We'll give you the toll-free call-in lines here momentarily where you can call in to join us. The us starting the show is Darryl.
And Heather.
And, you know, there's a lot of stuff in the news. Something huge in the Bitcoin sphere happened yesterday that we will wind up getting to later in the show. Alexander Vinnick was arrested and faces 21 federal counts, including several for money laundering, conspiracy to commit money laundering, and other things related to BTC-e and the failed exchange Mt. Gox. That's coming up. But Heather, we're going to start with this really sort of interesting story about somebody doing something to genetically modify a human, maybe? What's going on here?
Well, it's obviously at MIT. They're always doing crazy stuff over there. And I've just been looking. I actually had a friend of mine who's a journalist, runs the Facebook page News to Share. Got me really looking into a lot of like the weird science stuff that's going on in the world when he introduced me to like transhumanism. I guess he's doing a documentary on it and like just...
So transhumanism, that's the concept of people turning themselves into robots and becoming the board.
Yeah, and so, yeah, exactly. And so
I'm going to upload my brain to the internet. Well, no, you're not. You are not going to upload your brain to the internet. You might think that somebody's going to upload your brain to the internet, but it's not going to happen.
Well, it's not just that, because then, like, other stuff that he's introduced me to, because we're good friends, follow his page if you want to be, like, you know, on top of all of this stuff. But another one was the whole freezing of bodies for science, where apparently
Mark Edge, one of the hosts of this show, has signed up for a company called Alcor.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
To where when he winds up dying, although he thinks he's going to live for it. So he's got this weird sort of thing.
You assign, though, life insurance
he says
benefits.
Both, I'm going to live forever, but when I die, they're going to freeze my brain. Well, which is it? You can't do both. You cannot both live forever and have your brain frozen when you die, because that means you're not living forever.
Oh, Mark's immortal. What can we say? But anyway,
yeah, so the brain freezing thing is one of the sort of transhumanist wet dreams, to where they're like, I'm just going to upload myself to the internet and live forever as ones and zeros. No, it's not you. That is not you on the internet. You're dead.
So is that what they really want to do? Because from what Ford was saying is that like the plans are to freeze the bodies and then revive them at a later date when technology advances.
No, there are some people who are only interested in freezing their brain, getting it uploaded to the internet, and then having a shiny new robot body like on Futurama.
I have to admit, though, that would be the coolest thing if we could advance to the point where like I could just download. No,
I see what you did. Freezing a brain, it would be the coolest thing.
I wasn't even going there, but hey, it works.
Punny.
No, it is punny. But no, I've always had that thought, right? Like when trying to explain a concept to people that like just are way out in left field and they're not connecting the dots, you're like, wouldn't it be so much easier if I could just download what I know into your mind and like skip all of the back and forth. You could just download your thoughts, and then they'd be like, "Oh, I get what you were trying to say." You know what I mean? So if Mark Edge is gonna have his brain downloaded to a computer someday, like we're that close to where my wishes
we are
are
not
gonna be
that
granted.
close to any of it. It's all
Welcome,
futuristic.
Chris. Thanks for joining us.
That's the least I could do.
It's all futuristic. It's all concept. It's not going to happen, but people think it is. But that's just one of the sort of transhumanist things. This story
won't happen.
I think it's a possibility.
I think it's a possibility too.
Dude,
Oh, there are lots of
I
things that are possible. They're not plausible.
I'm going to say
by
plausible.
any stretch of the imagination.
I'm going to go with plausible.
Yeah.
I think brains are data, and you can undoubtedly.
It's just a mushy computer.
No, you can
That's all it is.
upload
It's a mushy
some of
hard
the
drive made out of
info,
tissue.
But you are not going to be able to upload yourself.
Well,
those are two completely different things.
Right. But we have not been able to define what self is.
Yeah, or what the brain is, for example.
Right. Yeah. So
I mean, our whole body is based on like electromagnetic pulses that go through our nervous system, you know? So
is it too early for a book plug?
Yes, it is, because we've not even actually gotten into the article that
I got a great
Heather
one.
brought
I got
in
an article about
this
GMO
weird-
human embryos.
allegedly, and yeah, let's just jump into the article
All right, while he
here.
plugs his book. Okay, so this article's from MIT Technology Review, and it's titled First Human Embryos Edited in the United States. So researchers have demonstrated they can efficiently improve the DNA of human embryos, they claim. The first known attempt at creating genetically modified human embryos in the United States has been carried out by a team of researchers in Portland, Oregon. MIT Technology Review has learned. The effort, led by, I'm going to pronounce this really bad because it's like
some science guy in Oregon.
It looks like sauerkraut, but that can't be right.
Just
Sauerkraut
skip over the name. A science guy from Oregon.
From Oregon Health and Science University involved changing the DNA of a large number of one-cell embryos with the gene editing technique CRISPR. Looks like an acronym.
Yep.
According to people familiar with the scientific results.
So CRISPR is an acronym, stands for Clustered Regularly Interspaced Short Palindromic Repeats.
Good to know.
And kind of on the open source side of things, too.
What do you mean?
The technology itself is there available for anyone to use.
Oh,
I don't think all the equipment is freely available, of course, but the technology itself.
MIT offers all of its information, classes, courses, curriculums for free.
Right, but they're not going to say, yeah, just show up and use all of our really super advanced the hardware stuff here. But yeah, MIT does put their classes out online. Your calls
data
and thoughts
article.
on this human embryo GMO thing, 855-450 free. That's 855-450-3733. Let's continue with this article.
Well, it says, until now, American scientists have watched with a combination of awe, envy, and some alarm as scientists elsewhere were first to explore the controversial practice. To date, 3 previous reports of editing human embryos were all published by scientists in China. Now, Mitalipov is believed to have broken new ground both in the number of embryos experimented upon and by demonstrating that it is possible to safely and efficiently correct defective genes that cause inherited diseases. Now, see, I actually think that is kind of cool myself. Like, if you have, like, a family history of, like, certain diseases and, you know, like hemophilia or some other kind of, like, really, like, severe, you know.
Right, but, you know, this gets into the really interesting question of what winds up happening if this is something that they figure out, oh, we can do this and then implant the embryo, and the embryo winds up getting carried to term and it becomes a human. Then, because governments already are mandating vaccines, who's to say they're not going to mandate that every newborn baby be genetically modified to not carry certain things? And then who determines what
well,
these
you're going to have to have, like,
are?
the sex police then, because you can't just, like, prevent conception when with a population of 300 million in the United States. How's government going to mandate
well,
that?
You're not
you know?
preventing conception, but every woman goes to a doctor of some sort.
I wonder,
you could just mandate that the doctors report to a government agent and then, we're going to do these tests to see if the baby has these defects.
You think that's plausible, but not our idea?
No, I'm saying right now, today, all of your personal health information is not your own personal health information.
Right.
That various government agencies will lay claim to that. They have, under Obamacare, there were a whole bunch of things.
And there are already
databases.
Even before that, there were a bunch of things of mandated requirement. Insurance companies require every woman that's pregnant to go to the doctor every X number of days. If you don't go, then the insurance company no longer covers anything.
Right.
And all kinds of other stuff. We just need to do a genetic test on the baby to see if you're predisposed to any of these defects, and then we'll just fix all of them because we've got the technology. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
Don't do what I did and run out. If it's working, don't quit. Why would you stop? Why undo all the good that's been accomplished?
You've got to feed them right for life.
Dynovite is nutrition.
If I ever took Roy off of Dynovite...
No.
When I get to about 3/4...
When I get down to the bottom of my box of Dynovite... Oh, no. I've got a couple more scoops. It's time to place my order. Dynovite.com. DINOVITE.com.
859-428-1000.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynovite for your dog this week.
We'll send you a bottle of NomoFlea free.
NomoFlea flea spray kills fleas safely with no poison.
Because it's a polypeptide protein molecule made from
vegetable oil.
Try NomoFlea.
Free this week at Dynovite.com.
Just feed your dog right. Use Dynovite.
Dynovite for life.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
BuySellMakeOffer.com is better than ever. I'm Pat Matthews here to tell you that BuySellMakeOffer.com, the revolutionary site for buying and selling anything and everything, just upped the ante. Go right now to BuySellMakeOffer.com and click the Sign Me Up button. When you do, you'll get the first month free, and then it's just $9.95 a month to be a member forever. And you don't need a credit card for the initial setup. Create your own store on the site and sell whatever you want, as long as it's legal, however you want, and sell an unlimited number of items. Create your own intro video to describe what your store is all about. Use Skype to see who you're buying from or selling to. Sell unused household items, as well as antiques, cars, televisions, collectibles, real estate. The possibilities are unlimited. Use social networks to promote your store right from our site. Remember, there are never any fees no matter how much you sell. Become a member today. I'm a member. Get all your friends to sign up too. This could become a great business for you. Sell whatever you want for the first 30 days free at BuySellMakeOffer.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com. There's no better app for tracking the value of cryptocurrencies than CoinCap. I've had a lot of apps for tracking Bitcoin, but none that's ever been able to track 500 digital assets at once. Their best feature is the Altfolio. I love this thing. You enter how many Bitcoins, Ether, Dash, Doge, or whatever else you have, and it tells you how much your crypto is worth. You can watch yourself get rich. If you have crypto, go right now to coincap.io, or you can use the Apple Store or Google Play to get the app. I love CoinCap. coincap.io.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We'll get back into the article here about the researchers that claim to have genetically modified a human embryo. Some researchers in Oregon. It's being reported by MIT. But before we get back into this, I want to make sure that I tell you about an economy where you don't need money. Talking about Simbi.com. It's a slick, easy-to-use marketplace where you trade your talents for other people's services and abilities. You can forget the old economy. This is your economy, Simbi.com. Hundreds of thousands of people are acting within the symbiotic economy. Go create an account at Simbi.com. Take a look around and post your services. Simbi, S-I-M-B-I, Simbi.com. Heather, Darryl, and Chris in studio tonight. And Heather, you've got the story here again from MIT Technology Review about these researchers in Oregon that claim to have done some kind of GMO sort of thing to a one-celled human embryo using the gene editing technique CRISPR. And backing up here, apparently there have been 3 previous reports of human embryos being altered, all of those in China. This is the first in the U.S. So let's jump back into the article.
Yeah, so although none of the embryos were allowed to develop for more than a few days, there was never any intention of implanting them into a womb. The experiments are a milestone on what may prove to be an inevitable journey toward the birth of the first genetically modified humans.
All right, so let's pause right here because this paragraph seems to sort of contradict what is implied by the title and the first sentence. Well, the title is First Human Embryos Edited in United States. Makes it sound as though it's an embryo that is about to be implanted or was removed from a womb.
It's a human embryo that was edited
in the United States. Yeah. We get that part. I think Darryl's probably, and I agree with him, it may be a smidge clickbaity there. Because I think people will look at that and go, what? We got genetically modified humans being born.
In 9 months, there's going to be a GMO baby. And that's not what is happening. Yeah. They're saying, we tinkered around with an embryo that we have no intention of actually doing anything other than tinkering around with.
Right.
So I just think
my whole question is now, where's all the pro-lifers that are like, that's murder. You just murdered those 3 embryos. You know what I mean?
I guarantee you will hear it. You will hear it. It's going to happen, and there's going to be sides drawn on this issue more so than there's already sides drawn on this issue.
Just IVF in general, like in vitro fertilization. That's how my nephew was made. My brother and his wife had trouble having a baby, so they did the IVF or whatever, and they have like other embryos that are still being stored. So like, what's the, you know what I mean? The ethical view on that.
Sort of the question of, for the people that say that human life begins at conception, well, what about the embryos here that are, either most likely artificially conceived, where they take the male part and the female part and put them together?
Thank you for cleaning that up.
Make an embryo. Is that a human at this point?
Does that little embryo have rights?
Well, and There's a further question of what about the embryos that are fertilized naturally through procreation but never actually implant into the womb and just wind up naturally flushing out of the uterus.
It's called a period, Darryl.
This is why we have to have a girl on the show. Otherwise, we just sit here
I know
and
the
strange
terms.
terms.
I know the terms.
I understand. I know what you're saying.
Broadcast radio, people wind up getting kind of weird about people saying certain things because there might be children in the
Life
car.
begins at menstruation.
But I do agree it's going to be a divisive issue as technology, just as it's become more divisive as technology has progressed.
Right.
And this whole idea of when life is conceived had one meaning 50 years ago, and it has another meaning today because of in vitro and other techniques that we're going to see. And
I just want to go on record as saying I'm old enough, Chris. I know you're old enough. We used to refer to as in vitro as making test tube babies.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to bring back the test tube baby because that's more cool. That's more sciencey. I was born in a test tube.
And beakers.
Right. That could be a beaker baby. That implies like cartoons.
Now I'm thinking the Muppets.
Yeah, I know.
That's just really, really. So, yeah, the thing here of they had no intention of implanting these GMO embryos into a womb. That's not to take away from what they did. It's just pointing out that the
somebody obviously
headline
donated their embryos too, which is kind of interesting.
Well, and I think the use of the term GMO is going to confuse people too. It is genetic modification, but no intent to create an organism the way they're doing it right now. They are, GMO, genetically modified organism. This is just basically playing around with the building blocks of human life before a human life is created.
Right. Let's get back into the article.
The next paragraph's pretty good. It says, in altering the DNA code of human embryos, the objective of scientists is to show that they can eradicate or correct genes that cause inherited disease, like the blood condition beta thalassemia. The process is termed germline engineering, because any genetically modified child would then pass the changes onto subsequent generations via their own germ cells, the egg and sperm.
So that's interesting. That basically says if we were to solve a disease before the person was born, then those children of that person would also pass on those same genes. This has longer term ramifications than some people may think of.
Right. And let's look at sort of interesting scenario to where most people will look at something like sickle cell anemia and say that is a genetic defect. Because certainly there are problems that can occur if someone has sickle cell anemia, but there has been research that shows that people with sickle cell anemia are less likely to wind up contracting malaria.
That's interesting.
So do we cure sickle cell anemia through genetic modification of an embryo, or do we allow that to continue existing so that people don't get malaria at a later point in life?
And here's my biggest fear. Science is usually about the
greater good.
Coulda, but sometimes forgets the shoulda.
Right.
So should we be doing this? And all these things, all these technologies, and it even goes to our discussions about AI and, the ramifications of that is...
And let's not forget the spider goat.
Well, listen to the next paragraph.
It's easy to imagine a lot of these things getting out of control.
And having unintended... We'll after the break.
Unintended consequences.
Goat. Spider goat, I think, is just going too far, and there's more on this, plus your calls and thoughts. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Should scientists be genetically modifying humans?
Welcome aboard. Your new science fiction adventure is ready to launch. Discover an amazing journey at GalaxyQuestBooks.com. Start a new sci-fi adventure with the Guardian series, a classic sci-fi mystery that starts 500 years in the future. From author D. Arthur Gussner. Series available from Barnes & Noble or Amazon as paperback or ebooks. GalaxyQuestBooks.com, where the adventure begins.
Is that Ellen painting her garage?
Yesterday she was trimming her hedges.
What's her secret?
I heard she was eating this new super berry called the aronia berry.
Aronia what?
Aronia berries from superberries.com. They're known for having one of the highest levels of antioxidants that helps with overall wellness.
Where can we get them?
Go to superberries.com/radio. And right now we get a free smoothie recipe book with our order. Plus we can save $4 at checkout.
I can't wait. I've got lots of projects I need to get done.
Yes, you do.
Choose health. Eat purple. Superberries.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. We're talking about genetically modifying human embryos. Should it be done? Just because you can make a spider goat, does that mean that you should make a spider goat? Just because you can genetically modify a baby to wind up growing up to be a 6'3" tall, really fast runner and long jumper, does it mean that you should genetically modify the baby to be able to do what you want that baby to do?
Or to look like what you want it to look like.
Oh, yeah, because listen to what the article says next. It says some critics say germline experiments could open the floodgates to a brave new world of, in quotes, designer babies engineered with genetic enhancements, a prospect bitterly opposed by a range of religious organizations, civil society groups, and biotech companies.
And again, the term here, germline, is what they're using to...
Germline engineering.
Germline engineering is the term they're using for basically genetically modifying human embryos. Although when
that will continue down that chain.
Right.
Yeah.
Although when they, genetically modified the spider goat, they didn't say, we did germline engineering. They said... Yeah, it was genetic modification of a spider goat. And for people that might not be aware of the spider goat, Chris, that's something you've heard of before, right?
No, I've never heard of the spider goat.
The spider goat was this thing where they put spider genes into a goat, and when you milk the goat, it creates like a spider web sort of thing that comes out.
Spider-Man type stuff.
But there's not necessarily enough of the web that comes out to where you can actually do anything practical with it, but somebody still was like, let's make spider goat.
That's a little creepy.
And so there's this weird spider goat thing, and then there's like some tomato that has like a fish gene or something, right. And like people just, let's see what kind of weird stuff we can put in things. And I don't think that just because you can means that you should.
Right. Coulda, not necessarily shoulda.
Right. And again, the question here of, designer babies. And we've already seen where people wind up doing designer pets.
Well, think about it.
I want a husky Pomeranian corgi mix.
Goldfish.
Why not? With goldfish genes so that it has scales instead of fur. And some science guy's like, got it.
But I think this whole conversation brings up an interesting point. So I think between the three of us, we would recognize that there perhaps should be some limits on how far we go, if for no other reason than for the good of the human race.
I don't know. I was kind of thinking
ethical
that store they used to have in malls called Build-A-Bear, only it's like Build a Kid.
Build a Baby.
Build a Baby.
But the thing is
you have like Build a Husband.
Good luck. You're going to find the perfect husband that way? There is no perfect husband for a woman.
Stuff him with a little heart like they do at Build-A-Bear.
Right. But I think the thing is, where does it... First of all, should this be allowed to just be wide open? It's open source technology. Anybody can do it. I think when we get into people saying, no, there have to be limits on it, they're first going to turn to the government. It's not going to be... There's not going to be a communal solution to this type of question.
Right. And then the question also, would this research have even happened if there wasn't some kind of government grant? And I don't think the article here mentions whether or not this research was paid for with a government grant, but most scientific research only happens because of a government grant.
Well, this actually says the United States intelligence community last year called CRISPR a potential weapon of mass destruction.
Oh, yeah.
Reached by Skype, Mitalipov declined to comment on the results, which he said are pending publication. But other scientists confirmed the editing of embryos using CRISPR. So far, as I know, this will be the first study reported in the United States, says Jun Wu, a collaborator at the Salk Institute in La Jolla, California. La Jolla, whatever. Who played a role in the project. So Better Technique says the earlier Chinese publications, although limited in scope, found CRISPR caused editing errors and that the desired DNA changes were taken up not by all the cells of an embryo, only some. That effect, called mosaicism, lent weight to arguments that germline editing would be an unsafe way to create a person.
Sounds unsafe to me. And again, whenever you're tinkering around with cells at a molecular level, you're going to have unintended consequences. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. We go to Patrick calling in from Bullhead City, Arizona. Patrick, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yeah, I think you guys are absolutely right. I mean, that's scary because you think about all the safeguards that are put inside the human body as it is, and to start taking those out and start there, you don't know what you could actually create is frightening. You know, I mean, what's going on right now? I know the Chinese and other countries that don't have the regulations on there are experimenting with stuff like that. But I thought there were actual rules and laws in the U.S. that didn't allow them to do that.
I know that there are certain things about government funding for stem cells from human embryos, and maybe because they had no intention of implanting these embryos into a uterus, that might have, given them some kind of leeway around any rules about genetic modification of humans.
And we all know that government rules and regulations, like doing that, only just means, it doesn't mean you're not allowed to do it. It means you can only do it if they say you can do it. So any type of research that is prohibited for the general population is not prohibited to the cherry-picked institutions that the government says is allowed to conduct stuff like that. You know what I mean?
I agree with you. I agree with you completely on that. It's just going to take one person taking it onto himself to go rogue and do something stupid that the ramifications could be worldwide. And that's the point that is the most frightening thought, because you got people that generally they don't care what the rules are. If they got an idea, they're going to try it, and that's where it's frightening. It's getting to a point now to where it's almost like watching sci-fi every day, but it's reality.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And that leads to, Patrick, thank you for the call. That leads to another interesting question of, if this scientist guy decided he wanted to gene splice himself, would we be taking a different look at this than if he's, gene splicing a new human?
Yeah. Well, and that to me, that becomes that's a natural rights question. Do I own my body? And if so, yeah, you should be able to do that yourself. The whole thing about CRISPR, it's a very inexpensive technology. It really is. It is pretty much open source. Anybody can do it. And then you have somebody like, Clapper, from a government point of view saying, this could be a WMD. The couple examples that have been brought up are, okay, what if I genetically modify mosquitoes in such a way that they don't really attack humans, but they attack or insert DNA into Russia's crops?
Right.
There's all kinds of ways that this could go really, really wrong.
Right. And, this leads to another question about, all right, so somebody decides that they want to create a designer baby to either look a certain way or be athletic in a certain area. Is that different than people that have babies for a specific purpose, i.e., Liberty babies or some generation ship to go to another galaxy? Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. This is Free Talk Live.
Do you want to help build a better financial system for everyone? Join Dash. Dash is Digital Cash, a digital money platform designed to replace cash and help people manage their own wealth. It's fast and easy. Fees are low and transactions are confirmed instantly. Dash is decentralized, run by users who earn rewards for helping run the network and make governance decisions. Dash is set up to succeed where other platforms have failed. Give it a try. Dash.org. Help people take control over their financial future today. Find out more at Dash.org.
I've discovered the next big thing on the internet. Symbi.com is a symbiotic economy with its own currency where people trade services virtually and locally. Forget the old economy. This is your economy. Symbi.com is slick to use and is backed by the same people that helped launch Reddit and Airbnb. I'm not kidding when I say this is the next big thing. Trust me. Go get an account at Symbi.com. Take a look around and post your services. Symbi, Simbi.com.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-765-9681 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-765-9681. Again, that's 800-765-9681.
Turning to health news, doctors at Johns Hopkins Medical School have discovered that bones are the coolest part of the body. The 10-year study found that although the body has many cool things in it, nothing is cooler than your skeleton.
Just think about it. You have this soft, fleshy body, but inside of it, there's a second, tinier body that's made out of a super hard rock. Our data is conclusive. Bones are very, very cool.
To conduct the study, researchers examined every single body part and determined how cool or uncool it was.
We initially thought the brain might be the coolest part because it's like a computer that runs on food. But when we looked at it up close, it was all gross and wrinkled. Brains are not cool. Bones are cool.
Doctors discovered that there are big, strong bones like baseball bats in your arms and legs, hand bones that look like a monster claw, and skull bones that make a scary face. Doctors did caution that as cool as human bones are, they're not nearly as cool as dinosaur bones.
This is the Onion News Network.
For years, LRN.FM has had a listen line that you can call and listen to LRN.FM anytime. Now we're taking the idea to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line. You can call 641-793-9660 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed, and you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 641-793-9660 and choose from the menu 641-793-9660.
Imagine, if you will, a virtual world, a symbiotic economy with its own currency, where you can barter your services with others. Simbi.com is a marketplace of real people exchanging skills and services, from web developers, marketers, video production specialists, and teachers of all sorts, to gaming consulting or fitness coaching. Simbi.com is a vast world of people trading freely. Take my word for it, it's an adventure you can't afford to miss. Simbi.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're talking about genetically modifying humans. And the question that came up in the last segment, and actually sort of throughout, is genetic manipulation of humans ethical? We'll continue with the article and the discussion, and of course, your calls and thoughts. 855-450-FREE. But, how about building a better financial system for everyone? Well, you can do that by joining Dash. Dash is Digital Cash, a digital money platform designed to replace cash and help people manage their own wealth. It's fast, private, and easy. The fees are low and transactions are fast, and in some cases can be confirmed instantly. You can send anyone money anywhere in the world, anytime, for just pennies. Dash is decentralized, run by users who earn rewards for helping run the network and make governance decisions. Anyone can invest and earn rewards for helping run the network. Join Dash, help create a better financial system for everyone, and take back control over your financial future today. Find out more at dash.org. There's a lot of momentum behind Dash. Go right now to dash.org and find out why. It's Darryl, Heather, and Chris in studio, and Heather has the story from MIT's Technology Review. Let's jump back into the article. Again, the claims are that some researchers in Oregon wound up, for the first time in the United States, manipulating the genes of a human embryo, an embryo that they had no intentions of implanting into a uterus. So, we're asking the question because the article definitely doesn't say, is that how they got around some of the prohibitions on, doing genetic modification test on embryos? Let's get back into the article.
Yeah, so this next little section seems to discuss mosaicism, which is what they call off-target effects, and it's basically, causes errors.
So that's what happened in or reportedly happened in the Chinese test, where the changes didn't wind up taking effect in all of the cells of the embryo, only some of them, and then it created sort of an imbalance.
Mm-hmm. So Mitalipov and his colleagues are said to have convincingly shown that it is possible to avoid both mosaicism and off-target effects. A person familiar with the research says many tens of human IVF embryos were created for the experiment using the donated sperm of men carrying inherited disease mutations. Embryos at this stage are tiny clumps of cells invisible to the naked eye. MIT Technology Review could not determine which disease genes had been chosen for editing. It is proof of principle that it can work. They significantly reduced mosaicism. I don't think it's the start of clinical trials yet, but it does take it further than anyone has before, said a scientist familiar with the project. Mitalipov's group appears to have overcome earlier difficulties by getting in early and injecting CRISPR into the eggs at the same time they were fertilized with sperm. That concept is similar to one tested in mice by Tony Perry of Bath University.
No relation.
Perry successfully edited the mouse gene for coat color, changing the fur of the offspring from the expected brown to white. Somewhat prophetically, Perry's paper on the research, published at the end of 2014, said this or analogous approaches may one day enable human genome targeting or editing during very early development. Well, that's actually pretty impressive that they changed the color of a mouse.
Magicians do it all the time.
Right, but just because you're able to make a change in a mouse doesn't mean that you're then going to be able to make a change in a human.
Well, I think the key point that they bring that up for is these are all proofs of concept.
Right.
The mouse color was the first earlier proof of concept, and now we've done something else, and I think this will continue until...
Right, and putting spider genes in goats was also an earlier proof of concept.
Yeah, but we're going to get all these
now
things.
Now I can see the idea of designer baby, though, when you're going to have I want my kid to have blue eyes. And
blue eyes, blonde hair. Right,
whatever.
Great. Hitler will love you. But I think, I had to throw that one in there. I think these things are going to build and build, and it's not going to be that many more years before we're going to be faced with real questions. And our politicians will be faced with the real questions of what to do with this.
Let me sort of back up in time about 15, 16 years, I believe. Remember, there was the claim right around the turn of the century where some group, the Raelians, claimed to have created a cloned human. And then everybody was like, everybody's going to be cloning humans in 2 years. Right. And then there was never any more word about this cloned baby. There was never any evidence of the cloned baby. And nobody's really talking about cloning humans now.
Right.
Well, actually, wait. This article gets into that, ironically. Let's get back to the end of the article because it has this last little section to it called genetic enhancement. And it talks a little bit, it says, born in Kazakhstan when it was part of the former Soviet Union, Mitalipov has for years published scientific boundaries. In 2007, he unveiled the world's first cloned monkeys. Then, in 2013, he created human embryos through cloning as a way of creating patient-specific stem cells. His team's move into embryo editing coincides with a report by the U.S. National Academy of Sciences in February that was widely seen as providing a green light for lab research on germline modification. The report also offered qualified support for the use of CRISPR for making gene-edited babies, but only if it were deployed for the elimination of serious diseases.
And who's to determine what a serious disease is?
Well, I think there's some common sense there, but there will also be regulation.
Well, it says there's an advisory committee. So the advisory committee drew a red line at genetic enhancements like higher intelligence. Genome editing to enhance traits or abilities beyond ordinary health raises concerns about whether the benefits can outweigh the risks and about fairness if available only to some people, said Alta Chero, co-chair of the NAS's study committee and professor of law and biotech at the University of Wisconsin.
God, when they get into the bioethics thing, then it strictly, I'm not going to say strictly.
It says
in my experience, it always becomes just this class argument. Well, you know, the rich will be able to afford it, but the poor won't.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the last two paragraphs say, in the United States, any effort to turn an edited IVF embryo into a baby has been blocked by Congress, which added language to the Department of Health and Human Services funding bill forbidding it from approving clinical trials of the concept. Despite such barriers, the creation of a gene-edited person could be attempted at any moment, including by IVF clinics operating facilities in countries where there are no such legal restrictions.
So this does sound as though the way they were able to wind up getting approval for this is because they had no intention of implanting these embryos into a womb. And let's back up here to where it says that this research guy created human embryos through cloning. That's never been debated. It has never been debated whether or not you can create an embryo through cloning. What's been debated is whether or not you can actually bring a human into existence through cloning. Can you clone an embryo, implant it into a uterus, and then bring it to term and 9 months later have a baby human?
Yeah, and all these technologies, I mean, they can all point to a much brighter future. When we talk about stem cell research and the fact that, you know, now it was initially thought that only embryonic stem cells could work. Well, now we found we can use lots of different stem cells to eradicate diseases and to cure things that we thought were incurable. And now we have CRISPR, which really goes right down to our genetic level and is able to make modifications that could be positive. I think it's you know, it's one of those things I keep my eye on. I keep my eye on government too, because when they start warning us that these things could be weaponized, that usually means that they are working on weaponizing them.
Right. Generally, when a government entity warns you about something, it means that they're doing it and they're concerned that another government entity is going to do it before them.
Right.
And that other government entity might either use it against you or maybe, you know, our own government will use it against us.
We have never done anything genetic against our own people.
I'm just saying, though,
experiments.
I'm kind of like jealous.
Sorry about that. CIA spraying all kinds of stuff on San Francisco.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, though. I'm kind of jealous that like these people get to sit in labs and do all this crazy stuff.
You want to be a crazy lab girl?
I don't know. It sounds kind of fun doing
it does,
stuff. I remember having fun dissecting a frog when I was in school. So
you're not squeamish?
No.
All right.
There's more Free Talk Live plus your calls and thoughts. And what happened with BTC-e? We've got the story. This is Free Talk Live, 855 450 free.
Have you wanted to get into Bitcoin mining but don't want to deal with the hassle and frustration of operating the mining hardware? Let pool.bitcoin.com handle it for you like I did. For an investment of as low as $129, you can have a lifetime mining contract and support the Bitcoin network. If you already have mining equipment, you're invited to join pool.bitcoin.com. It's the most profitable pool for miners, paying 120% of the block reward. That's pool.bitcoin.com.
When I get to about 3/4,
When I get down to the bottom, a couple more scoops, it's time to place my order. Dynovite.com.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynovite for your dog this week.
We'll send you a bottle of NomoFlea free.
NomoFlea flea spray kills fleas safely with no poison.
Because it's a polypeptide protein molecule made from
vegetable oil.
Try NomoFlea.
Free this week at Dynovite.com.
Just feed your dog right. Use Dynovite.
DINOVITE.com.
Hi, this is Mark Edge of Free Talk Live. Michael W. Dean's book, User's Manual for the Human Experience, changed my life. In a culture that attempts to turn you into a compliant victim, this book gives you implementable steps on everything from how to be aware of your environment, walking down the street, to business, to how to handle a toxic person in your life. If you're a human, you need to read this book at least once. Go to Amazon and get the Kindle version, or paperback, or an audiobook of A User's Manual for the Human Experience. The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, July 27th, 2017. Silver is trading at $16.79 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,264 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 4.9 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $2,586. Antiwar.com reports Taliban forces attacked an Afghan military base in the Kandahar province, overrunning the base and killing at least 26 soldiers, wounding 13 others. Locals say hundreds of Taliban attacked the base in all directions and the battle lasted for hours. The death tolls appear to be very much in dispute. 26 is the minimum reported killed, but the initial Afghan intelligence report said 40 were slain, and the Taliban itself claimed to have killed over 70 soldiers. The Afghani Defense Ministry claimed to have killed or wounded around 80 Taliban. The Afghan Defense Ministry also confirmed that 7 soldiers were kidnapped in the incident and that there are another 21 soldiers missing outright. The Taliban confirmed that they had taken 7 captives in the raid. Also significant, the Taliban reported that in overrunning the base, they seized large amounts of weapons and vehicles that were at the site at the time. This has become a growing problem, with the Taliban increasingly securing large amounts of U.S.-provided weapons from Afghan military and police in such fighting. Born into a devastating world and raised among the crowd, the Cloudwalker assumes a new identity and begins the unrelenting quest for truth. In this epic journey, he discovers dark secrets about aspects of his previous life that he once trusted. Through the journal of the Cloudwalker, he shares both the traumatic hardships and the eternal beauties of his experiences. Dear Society by the Cloudwalker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. UPI reports the Transportation Security Administration announced Wednesday that it will require passengers to remove all electronics larger than a cell phone, such as tablets and e-readers, from their carry-on bags due to an increased threat in aviation security. The electronics will have to be placed in a bin and put through an X-ray screener, similar to how laptops are currently handled. The TSA said it had been doing pilot testing of the increased screening at 10 airports across the country and will eventually expand to all U.S. airports in the coming months. In addition, TSA said passengers could experience more bag checks when going through security, but said it had improved screening procedures with quicker, more targeted measures to clear the bags. Acting TSA Administrator Hubin A. Gawadia said it is critical for TSA to constantly enhance and adjust security screening procedures to stay ahead of evolving threats and keep passengers safe. By separating personal electronic items such as laptops, tablets, and e-readers and handheld game consoles for screening, TSA officers can more closely focus on resolving alarms and stopping terror threats. TSA advises passengers to keep their electronics organized and easily accessible in their carry-on bags to keep the lines moving. The new security measures come 1 month after DHS Secretary John Kelly announced he would push for more stringent security measures to be enforced in airports. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports President Donald Trump said on Wednesday he would ban transgender people from the U.S. military, a move appealing to some in his conservative political base, but sowing confusion about the fate of thousands of transgender individuals in the military. The surprise announcement by Trump, who as a presidential candidate last year vowed to fight for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people, came in a series of morning Twitter posts. It drew condemnation from rights groups and some lawmakers in both parties as discrimination with purely political motives, but was praised by conservative activists and some Republicans. Trump spokeswoman Sarah Sanders said the administration had not yet decided whether transgender service members already in the military would be immediately thrown out, saying the White House and Pentagon would have to work that out. The decision reverses a policy from former President Barack Obama and halts years of efforts to eliminate barriers to military service based on sexual orientation or gender identity. Trump tweeted, "After consultation with my generals and military experts, please be advised that the United States government will not accept or allow transgender individuals to serve in any capacity in the U.S. military." Trump did not name any of the generals or experts. The Pentagon referred questions about Trump's decision to the White House. The tweets caught some White House officials by surprise. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
Big tech news this week as Microsoft has unveiled its new generation Xbox One. Designers say the console's revolutionary new voice command feature makes it easier than ever for the Xbox to control its users. According to Microsoft spokesman Don Matrick, quote, "The Xbox One is programmed with a host of simple voice commands that you will respond to instantly. In addition to phrases like jump, shoot, and insert game disc, users will also understand more complicated instructions like download Call of Duty Update or come into the room and turn on Xbox."
The Xbox One tells us what games to play, what music to listen to, what shows to watch. Watch TV. And with that simple command, I'm watching live TV.
The new Xbox's high-tech sensors can also detect your expression and tell when you're looking away from the television.
Andy, look back at the TV.
Microsoft says the new Xbox can also command you using your smartphone or tablet. TechBuzz is raving, quote, "It's the immersive obedience experience we've been waiting for."
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, kicking off hour number 2 in studio. It's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And the Department of Justice, they're proud of themselves because they took down somebody and then charged him with 21 different federal felony counts. Who and what? Well, that's what we're getting into. Alexander Vinnik was arrested in Greece to face charges in the United States. Story comes from the Department of Justice. It's their press release, touting their big, huge, giant victory, if you will. A grand jury in the Northern District of California has indicted a Russian national and an organization he allegedly operated, BTC-e. BTC-e, for those of you not familiar, was one of the larger online exchanges for Bitcoin. I'm not sure if they, had other cryptos on there
I don't know
or
either.
not. But there was actually somebody at our local Bitcoin meetup yesterday that told us about this. Chris, you were there. I was there. We had nitrogen ice cream. Was absolutely amazing. But this guy had a decent amount of money on the exchange, and he said, "Hey, anybody know what's going on? The exchange is down," and apparently the guy that was running it, or somebody that they think was running it, wound up getting arrested. And yep, sure enough, Alexander Vinnik, the guy alleged to be the operator, was arrested again in Greece for what the U.S. government claims was operating an unlicensed money services business, money laundering, and, quote, related crimes, end quote.
Now, hold on, Darryl. Isn't Bitcoin like, it's more like a protocol of the internet, which means it spans all countries. Forgive me for reading ahead, but this guy wasn't a U.S. citizen, correct?
Correct.
He wasn't operating himself, his person wasn't operating in the United States.
Correct, but some of his customers were in the United States. Therefore, Uncle Sam claims to have jurisdiction over this guy.
World police.
Yes.
Yes,
that's basically
what the U.S. will say.
As long as you have any connection to a quote-unquote U.S. person and you then do something illegal with said U.S. person, then the U.S. government is going to claim jurisdiction over you.
Okay, so folks listening at home, think about that for a second.
And U.S. person doesn't necessarily mean just a flesh and blood breathing human. It could also be a corporation. It could be an unincorporated association. It could be anything.
Yeah, my biggest concern, which is not a new concern at all, and it's not tied to this story directly, but we do continue to try to act as the world's policeman. We see anything going on anywhere in the world, and suddenly it's upon us to send out our G-men and send out our agents and correct this evil that's wrong. What if the rest of the world, maybe there were, we'll get into this in the story, I'm sure, maybe there were other countries involved in this, but what if other countries were like, you know what, we're fine with BTC-e. They're not doing anything that we think is bad.
And I'm not going to read off the list of names, but I will read some of the agencies that were involved in making this announcement yesterday. The Internal Revenue Service, Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, Homeland Security Investigations, the FBI, the United States Secret Service, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, the Office of Inspector General, and the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network of the U.S. Department of Treasury, also called FinCEN. Those are just some of the entities that were involved in making the announcement. We'll continue with the press release here from the Department of Justice, but first, your calls, 855-450-FREE. We've got Zach calling in from Ithaca. Zach, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Talking about the first human embryo being modified with CRISPR, or the first announcement of that happening. And I think that the question of the ethics is ultimately irrelevant, because not only is it happening, it's going to happen even if it isn't publicly disclosed. It's been happening. And it's essentially a question of eugenics is the ultimate issue being debated, if that makes any sense.
Excellent point.
Yeah,
but
I agree with
isn't that interconnected with ethics?
Excellent point.
I mean, a lot of what goes on in biomedical research, going back, like Mengele is an excellent example, or all the hypothermia research that was done by the Japanese on the Chinese during World War II. Like, the public disclosure of something requires the ethical question to come into play. But in reality, there's a lot of really weird, cutting-edge life extension, DNA editing, all this stuff. It's called transhumanism, essentially.
Sure.
And you guys have seen the movie Gattaca, right?
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
Oh, you're kidding, Darryl.
No.
Run right out and rent that tomorrow.
Where am I supposed to go?
Like
The
a
video
movie or is
store?
it a
Those things don't
documentary?
exist anymore.
Get down to your local Blockbuster, Darryl.
Is it a movie or a documentary?
It's a movie.
Gattaca is a dystopian future. Well, you could argue dystopian, where essentially there is a genetic underclass. They're called invalids or invalids, people who have glasses, people who were not genetically edited before they were born, and then basically a higher class of people who were modified, who have the perfect DNA. And there's a guy who is posing as a genetically modified person to pursue his dream of becoming an astronaut.
Right.
I don't want to spoil the movie for you. It's Ethan Hawke, probably his best movie.
Yeah. No, that's a good summary of the film, and it is a good film, and it does bring up these questions that now, thanks science, we're kind of faced with. And you're right, as it becomes public.
I'd say even before it becomes public, there is still the ethical question.
Well,
just because I don't know that something is happening doesn't mean that it's not unethical.
Some people would argue that me dissecting a frog in elementary or middle school or whatever is unethical. You know what I mean? Like, you're never going to be able to please everybody.
The thing is, though, the point that I'm trying to get across to you is that the ethical question is irrelevant because this stuff is going to happen whether or not it is ethical or not.
Sure.
I don't think that makes the ethical discussion irrelevant.
I think we're all going to have our own
The
ethical
United
questions.
States military is going to bomb people around the world. The question of is it ethical is still a valid question. Just because it's happening doesn't mean that you can't say it's unethical.
I think if you implied that debating the ethical question could change the course, then I agree with him that it's irrelevant. They're going to do what they want to do.
Are you guys familiar with the eugenics movement going back to Margaret Sanger around the time that Planned Parenthood was created? It was the American Eugenics League. And people were like, this is creepy. We just can't keep killing the weak. So it was rebranded. And all of these eugenics movements and principles were kind of interwoven. There's that picture of the tree, the eugenics tree, with sociology, history, science, all that. It's been going on for like 80, 100 years, probably even back in the 1800s, this idea that you can refine and control the evolution of humanity. And it's obviously wrong. It's an evil thing. But who is pursuing it? Who are the people that want this? And essentially it comes down to, a power elite that sees himself as separate from the lower orders of humanity who want to defeat God and live forever.
Right.
I don't want to get into some sort of wacky conspiracy stuff, but all these billionaires in the new season of House of Cards, they're talking about, radical life extension technology. One of the billionaire guys is having his brain scanned so he can live forever in a computer.
Yeah, but I think you're dead on, and it does sound conspiracy theory-ish to a lot of people, but the fact of the matter is there were eugenics programs that were pursued by the United States going back into the progressive era, and those were, at that time, the rich and powerful. A lot of those names you still recognize today, and it was done with government, in hand with government.
Zach, thank you for the call. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com. What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveatpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. SaveAtPurse.com.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-557-0158. That's 800-557-0158. Again, 800-557-0158.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's
the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Free speech is protected on the internet, right? Not always. Government agencies try to limit free speech and commerce on the net. Luckily, when they do, the Institute for Justice is there to defend your First Amendment right to free speech. IJ helped set the first federal precedent for internet free speech in 1999, and ever since has worked to prevent unconstitutional roadblocks in cyberspace. Visit our website today at ij.org.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855 450 free. That's 855-450-3733. In studio, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And Bitcoin.com is your premier source for everything Bitcoin related. Get help buying Bitcoins, choosing a Bitcoin wallet, read the latest news, or even engage with the community on their Bitcoin forum. You can even find places to spend your Bitcoin or play games online with the cryptocurrency. The source for all of your Bitcoin needs and news, bitcoin.com. And we're talking about one of the stories that you can find at news.bitcoin.com. However, we've got the article from, or rather the press release from the Department of Justice, where they're really proud of themselves, busting the alleged operator of BTC-e, which was and hopefully will again be a Bitcoin exchange to where people can buy and sell Bitcoin. But right now the site is down. The alleged operator, Alexander Vinnick, has been arrested. There's a whole slew of U.S. government entities that were involved in arresting him in Greece. He's not an American. He's a Russian national. Again, he was in Greece, but the U.S. government claims jurisdiction over this man because some of his customers were Americans. U.S. attorney, last name Stretch, he's in the long list of names given by the DOJ that were involved here. He says cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin provide people around the world new and innovative ways of engaging in legitimate commerce.
Oh, sounds good so far.
Well, I'm glad they acknowledge that.
Right.
As this case demonstrates, however, just as new computer technologies continue to change the way we engage each other and experience the world, so too will criminals subvert these new technologies to serve their own nefarious purposes. Oh, you mean the same way that criminals subvert any kind of technology? Cars are wonderful things, but did you know that criminals use them as getaway vehicles when they rob banks?
I've heard that. Sometimes they'll even have specialists that specialize in using cars to drive the criminals away from the bank.
And did you know that people will use cars to run moonshine and other illegal liquid substances?
Oh, my God.
That's how NASCAR wound up forming, by the way, is a bunch of bootleggers got together and said, hey, wouldn't it be fun to race each other in a track and keep turning left? for 500 miles. And another redneck said, that sounds like fun. Let's do it. Woo,
come on,
we're
Darryl.
turning left.
Where's the NASCAR love? Nah, anything can be used criminally. Like virtually anything. Hand me a pencil, I'll stab Heather with it. Now I've used it criminally. Heather, I'm not really going to stab you with a pencil. But that's the thing. And, where do you draw the line? At what point is it not the government's business about everything that could possibly be used illegally?
Yeah. The quote here from Attorney Stretch says, this office will continue to devote the necessary resources to ensure that money launderers and cyber criminals are detected, apprehended, and brought to justice wherever and however they use the internet to commit their crimes.
Well, good. So when they seized I assume they seized assets.
Presumably, it's listed in the 27-page indictment.
Well, good.
So let me actually, I'm on the penalty sheet right now where it lists the various counts. Let's go through this since I've got it pulled up.
But before we do, I just want to make sure that the government didn't seize anybody who was innocent of any crime, didn't seize their stuff too in this, $4 billion seizure, right?
I'm not sure how much they seized. They claim that he laundered somewhere around $4 billion. The count 1 is operation of an unlicensed money services business. 5 years imprisonment. Count 2, conspiracy to commit money laundering. Not more than 20 years, not more than $500,000 fine, or twice the value of the property involved in the transaction, whichever is greater, and not more than 3 years of supervised release and a $100 special assessment. Counts 3 through 19, money laundering. Not more than 20 years imprisonment, not more than $500,000 fine, or twice the value of the property involved in the transaction, whichever is greater, not more than 3 years of supervised release, and a $100 special assessment. Now, before I read counts 20 and 21, did you notice something here about the fine?
Yeah. So the minimum you could ever pay would be $500,000, or twice what they say the amount is. And if they're alleging that he laundered $4 billion, that would put his fine at $8 billion?
Somewhere around there. So we're charging you twice what we allege you laundered because we can. Before I continue with the rest of this, who's the victim here?
Well,
who's the victim?
All those people that ended up with very clean money, I guess, because it got laundered. Maybe an extra rinse cycle.
Right, and when governments wind up laundering money, now they don't call it laundering money, but they do it all the time. They don't see that they're actually laundering money.
What, like the CIA laundering all the money it was making off of running drugs in the 1980s?
Well, there's that. There's
funding
also
ISIS
90s.
and terrorist groups.
There's also the that
let's just give the money directly to the terrorists. Isn't that the whole point of money laundering laws?
Taking money
from
somebody
from getting into the hands of bad people.
Taking money from somebody that they allege did something illegal without ever charging them with a crime.
Sure.
And then, oh no, it got seized by this government entity and then redistributed to this other government entity, and then we bought these really expensive toys.
Right.
So that's not money laundering because government.
Right.
But yet, if I take some money and then I funnel it through another person's business and then it comes back to me, that's money laundering. But when governments do it, it's not money laundering, it's asset forfeiture.
Well, and under our crazy laws regarding anti-money laundering, AML, which is sort of the acronym that's used, and Know Your Customer.
AML, KYC, you'll oftentimes hear those together.
Right. You can look at these things and you can come up with all sorts of ways in your personal life that that you may actually be committing some sort of a stupid crime because government says,
right?
If I loan some stranger $20, I'm feeling generous,
right?
But I don't know him. I don't know everything about him, and I haven't got a copy of his driver's license and things like that.
Right.
And I take his money back, or I invest it and then I give it back to him or something like that, I'm probably guilty of some stupid money laundering law.
Counts 20 and 21, engaging in unlawful monetary transactions. Again, a 10-year sentence, not more than $500,000 or twice the value of the property. And then they did some asset forfeiture on this guy. There's more, plus your calls and thoughts. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
Ralph, remember when you said you were going to start paying more attention to your health and now you're eating potato chips?
Just a few.
A few, okay, but you should be eating Superberry's Aronia berries.
Aroni what?
Aronia berries from superberries.com. They're known for having one of the highest levels of antioxidants that helps with overall wellness. Go to superberries.com/radio. And right now we get a free smoothie recipe book with our order. Plus we can save $4 at checkout.
Wow, look at all the benefits of these berries.
I know, Ralph, I know.
Choose health. Eat purple. Superberries.com.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
The warning signs.
At first, he made me feel special. He promised he'd look after me, provide for my future. He broke every promise he made.
Millions of Americans afflicted.
I was ready to leave, but he told me he'd change. So I gave him another chance. I was such a fool.
The consequences.
Things only got worse. He started making my decisions for me, about my job, my kids' education, my money, my safety, my future. He took away my choices, but I kept going back to the same politicians.
The diagnosis? Battered voter syndrome.
I fell for the same old lies. They were just playing with my emotions, telling me what I wanted to hear. That's not right.
If you're tired of the two-party system but want to support a principled Libertarian Party, check out the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire at lpnh.org. That's lpnh.org.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com. Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're talking about the arrest of Alexander Vinnick, the alleged operator of BTC-e, which was one of the larger Bitcoin exchanges, where, again, he's been arrested in Greece. He's Russian, but the U.S. federal government, a lot of different agencies, Homeland Security, ICE, the FBI, Secret Service, the FDIC, and the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FinCEN Division of Department of Treasury, involved in the arrest. Again, the charges: 1 count of operating an unlicensed money services business, 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering, counts 3 through 19, money laundering, counts 20 and 21, meaning 2 counts engaging in unlawful monetary transactions, plus there was some asset forfeiture. And again, we don't know if all of the assets that were forfeited were assets that belong to Vinnick, or if some of the people that just happened to have accounts on BTC-e had their assets forfeited as well.
Can I boil all this down? Because this is really complicated when we talk about all these money laundering laws. Here's what it is, folks. It means that somebody had the gall to come up with a way that allowed money to flow from one person to another without being taxed. It made it very hard for the government to figure out how to extract their tax from these monies, or to allow some people to have money that wouldn't be taxed. You can call this whatever you want.
No, I can tell you from having worked in insurance, like in order to get my licensing, I had to answer a bunch of questions and study money laundering. And one of the ways they wash money is with life insurance policies.
Sure.
Where people involved in illegal trades with money that hasn't been taxed, you take the money and they purchase life insurance policies, cancel the life insurance policies, get a check back from the company, and then it looks like clean money when you bring it to a bank and hand them a check from a life insurance company, as opposed to walking into a bank with $100,000.
It's a good tip for anybody out there who's hoping to avoid some taxation.
If you've ever watched Breaking Bad, and spoiler, the show's not been on the air for several years, and I know people get all up in a tizzy if I give the plot of something that's been out longer than a year.
You've been accused of ruining this show repeatedly.
So, anyway, part of, like a major part of the show is Walter White, who is also known as Heisenberg. He sells the blue meth. You learn that very early on, by the way. He buys a car wash to launder his money.
Right. Cash business. Lots of cash comes in, cash goes out.
A lot of cash comes in, and then it winds up being clean money. And I think for, the symbolism, they made sure to do a car wash, because laundering money.
Yeah, make it all clean.
Making things clean with a car wash. But, that's another thing. It's not necessarily, this wasn't taxed and now it needs to be taxed. It could just be, here's money that is subject to forfeiture because it's connected to something illegal and we need to make it look legitimate.
Well, call it whatever you want, but in the end, governments do not want money to flow around or be in existence unless it has been taxed.
Well, if you look at
very, very, very few exceptions.
If you look at line, I believe it's 21 on Schedule C of the IRS 1040, the instructions indicate that you're supposed to list income from illegal activities on that line. Line 21, Schedule C, IRS 1040. So whether it's, legal or illegal money, they want you to claim it so that they can tax it. The press release here from the Department of Justice continues with a quote from Acting Assistant Attorney General Blanco. He says, as this case demonstrates, the criminal division employs a multifaceted approach to dismantling criminal enterprises by prosecuting the criminal actors themselves and shutting down their ability to monetize their crimes through entities that facilitate money laundering. The criminal division will work tirelessly to identify those who use technology to conduct and obscure their criminal activities as we ensure there are no safe havens from U.S. justice for those who seek to victimize Americans. Where's the victimization here? What? Like, he's using words that are English words, but the structure that he's putting them in do not mesh with reality.
No, when you have victimless crimes, government alleges that society, American society, is the victim. That's all they're doing. They're saying that because of all these things, the American people have suffered, though I don't feel like I've suffered at all for a Bitcoin exchange to have existed in Russia.
Yeah, like think too.
What did it do to me?
You got to think too, like with when people think of this money laundering and not paying taxes, I think a lot of people that pay their taxes to avoid going to jail, you know what I mean, probably get a little bitter about it because it's like, well, I'm paying mine, you should have to pay yours. But the problem is that nobody should be paying the kind of taxes that we're paying. When you think about that, there's not just anti-money laundering laws. There's so many petty laws. Like, some states are worse than others. I know in Massachusetts, like I made a post the other day, like what is the most outrageous government law that you can think of? And it's like just the things like what you can paint your house color, what you can do this, you can do that, like just the craziest things. And we're paying taxes for people that are in charge of enforcing these stupid laws. So when you think of people that are avoiding paying taxes, they're not, trying to, not pay for the starving people on the street. They're not, you know what I mean? It's just, but we're paying so much, right? So when you finally get to that breaking point and you're like, okay, well, we're paying too much in taxes, what do? You try to not pay taxes. Like, what other recourse is there other than like a violent revolution? I mean, I really don't understand.
But there's an idea.
But you see what I mean? Or secession, like we saw with Brexit. I mean, this is what happens when you start being like, okay, well, just, pay and comply. Well, eventually they're going to ask for more and more and more and more. And finally, right, while you're bitter about the guy that was, being civilly disobedient, not paying taxes, all of a sudden you're going to get to a point where like, I don't want to pay either. Like, it's just not worth it anymore. Like, it's not.
Right. And it sounds a lot like what happens if you have a bucket full of crabs.
I don't know where you're going.
I can't wait to see where this one goes. Please, Darryl.
If there's a bucket full of crabs and one crab tries to climb out, the other crabs, they don't try to help him escape. They pull him back into the bucket. Right. And it's the same sort of thing to where you've got people say, well, I wound up being, hazed when I joined a fraternity 20 years ago. These young kids, they should also have to be hazed. Well, I've paid taxes. You should too. I don't find ways around various taxes. You shouldn't either. And let me make sure that I'm very clear on something here. It's not just cryptocurrencies that people use to wind up avoiding taxes. Have you ever heard of a thing called getting paid under the table? Yeah, I'm fairly certain you have, and it's a fairly common practice to where people will sometimes ask, "Hey, that overtime you had me work, any way you could like not put that on the books and give me cash for that?"
Right.
Oh, that handyman job that I did for you, give me some cash instead of writing me a check.
Right. But it benefits,
it
benefits. Hold on, both parties too.
Right.
So the person doing the labor isn't getting taxed on their labor, and the person paying for the labor isn't encumbered by all the government overhead. They don't have to create a new file, so they have to set up their employee withholdings for their taxes and everything else. It's nuts. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying I've seen actually stores around here, like gas stations and stuff that says save money, pay for your gas with cash. Like they're encouraging people to pay with cash to get gasoline at local gas stations.
Sure.
Right. And a lot of that has to do with, the high fees that credit cards. 3.9% plus 30 cents per transaction. You're buying $5 worth of gas. That gas station winds up losing money. They're not making anything on that. 855-450-FREE. Your calls and thoughts. This is Free Talk Live.
Do you want to help build a better financial system for everyone? Join Dash. Dash is Digital Cash, a digital money platform designed to replace cash and help people manage their own wealth. It's fast and easy, fees are low, and transactions are confirmed instantly. Dash is decentralized, run by users who earn rewards for helping run the network and make governance decisions. Dash is set up to succeed where other platforms have failed. Give it a try at dash.org. Help people take control over their financial future today. Find out more at dash.org.
You've said it yourself. We need a healthcare system that focuses on health, not sickness. Health insurance pays for treating sickness but gives you nothing for being healthy. There's a free market healthcare company that gives you freedom from health insurance. They give you a proactive health assessment daily, no charge 24-hour access to doctors. Check them out right now at healthexcellenceselect.com. Any kind of doctor, traditional, integrative, chiropractic, acupuncture, and massage. You'll love the service and price. healthexcellenceselect.com. healthexcellenceselect.com.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
And membership is only $9.95.
Yep. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees, ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Boost Kid Essentials Nutritionally Complete Drink, providing your picky eater with essential nutrition and great taste in one drink. Visit us at kidessentials.com. To make sure your kids eat healthy, follow the 5-a-day plan. Serve 3 servings of vegetables and 2 servings of fruit daily. Remember, a serving could just mean a piece of fruit or a half cup of veggies. If your kids are picky eaters, ask a nutritionist about other sources. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Your calls and thoughts welcome. About the arrest of Alexander Vinnik, the Russian citizen arrested in Greece by the United States government. We're going over the press release where the Department of Justice, they're really proud of themselves. In studio, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And freedomsphoenix.com is a liberty-oriented news aggregation site. Do you want the newest and freshest stories and perspective on current events from those who value liberty? freedomsphoenix.com has it. Their daily dispatch is the best way to stay up to date on science, technology, historical findings, liberty news, government overspending, and the rise of the police state. freedomsphoenix.com. That's freedoms with an S, phoenix.com, freedomsphoenix.com. We'll get back into this press release from the DOJ, but first, your calls and thoughts. We've got John Doe calling in from Milwaukee. You're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hey, guys. I heard just a little bit of the last piece where you guys talked about stupid laws, and I heard something about crabs. So that brought to mind Wisconsin State Statute 944-16, which is adultery, prohibits anybody who's married from having relations with anyone outside of the marriage. It also prohibits a person having relations with someone who is married.
Is there an exemption for politicians?
No, there isn't. There isn't.
That surprises me.
But this is one of those things of how is it enforced? Is it enforced? When's the last time they actually charged somebody with this?
It is not. It is not enforced. It's been brought up during, various scandals of Milwaukee politicians.
Right.
Specifically, the Milwaukee police chief, Edward Flynn, I think in maybe 2011 or 2012, where he had an affair, allegedly, or actually I believe it was admitted to. But I dug around a little bit as I was on hold, and it looks like there was maybe somebody up in northwestern Wisconsin in a prostitution scenario who had sex with a married person and was charged. I can't find anything solid on it. But yeah, you can.
Yeah, that sounds like it might have been, one of those tack-on charges of let's just wind up, throwing a bunch of charges and wind up getting you to take a plea. And we've got something similar on the books in New Hampshire, and there was actually a proposal a couple of years ago to repeal that. And one of the state reps said, well, even though we're not enforcing it, we can't just repeal this because then people might get the wrong idea and think that we condone adultery.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Right.
John, good call. Okay. Thank you. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450 free. Back to the press release from the DOJ, skipping down a good bit. And I did share the link so that you can find it and read the full thing at your leisure if you want to. It's on the Facebook and the Twitter for Free Talk Live. The press release continues. The indictment describes Alexander Vinnik, 37, a Russian citizen, as the owner and operator of multiple BTC-e accounts, including administrator accounts and also a primary beneficiary or a primary beneficial owner of BTC-e's managing shell company, Canton Business Corporation. According to the indictment, and this is one of those weird legal sorts of things to where you can put whatever you want to in an indictment.
Right.
It doesn't mean that it's true. You can say is alleged to have and say whatever you want to.
Right.
And as long as it's coming from, this government press release or a quote unquote trusted media outlet, people will pick up with it and run. It's been reported that fill in the blank horrible thing happened.
And these guys are at fault.
So, again, innocent until proven guilty, but these are the allegations that the U.S. government is throwing out. They say, according to the indictment, numerous withdrawals from BTC-e administrator accounts went directly to Vinnik's personal bank accounts. The indictment further alleges that proceeds from well-known hacks and thefts from Bitcoin exchanges were funded through a BTC administrator account associated with Vinnik. Vinnik was arrested in Greece on July 25th. According to the indictment unsealed, they say today, but was actually yesterday, BTC-e founded in 2011, was one of the world's largest and most widely used digital currency exchanges. The indictment alleges that BTC-e allowed its users to trade in the digital currency Bitcoin with high levels of anonymity. The indictment alleges that although Bitcoin has known legitimate uses, the virtual currency, like cash, can be used to facilitate illicit transactions and to launder criminal proceedings.
What, Darryl? You can use cash for illicit purposes? Did the government just admit to that?
Here's one of the huge differences between cash and Bitcoin. I've never seen anybody roll up a Bitcoin and snort drugs with it.
That's a good point.
But you can do that with dollar bills.
What was the percentage? Of something like 80 or 90% of all
80%
U.S. currency?
Of U.S. currency reportedly has trace amounts of cocaine.
Yeah.
And there was a TV show. Do you remember the show Mansers that was on Spike?
No, I never saw that one.
So they combined the word man and answers. Mansers.
Ah, I get it now.
And one of the things that they did was a study to figure out how many dollar bills you would need to wind up getting a dose of cocaine.
Just get a decent rail out of them?
Yeah.
How many?
I forget, but it was a good many.
Yeah, the problem is
the thousands.
Everything else you get off a dollar bill. I, for one, work in retail. We own a small shop. And I have hand sanitizer right next to the drawer because I handle money all day and it disgusts me. I don't mind handling Bitcoin, though.
The press release here from the DOJ continues with the DOJ accusing VanEck and BTC-e of heavily relying on criminals, including by not requiring users to validate their identity, obscuring and anonymizing transactions and sources of funds.
So that basically says that if anyone wishes to become anonymous, they are by default involved in criminal activity.
Right. So most of the time when I go to some kind of place and they're like, can I have a name for the order? I don't give them my name.
Right.
Unless I know the person, in which case they just, go ahead and write Darryl. I'll just give a made up name. Frederick Bastiat. Yesterday at the ice cream place, Wombat. So after they wound up making my s'mores with bacon, ice cream, and liquid nitrogen, they wound up calling out, Wombat. And I walked up and grabbed my ice cream. So does that mean that I'm some kind of, wanted criminal because I was obscuring my identity by eating ice cream?
But again, it's the implication by government that should you decide to be private in your affairs, in your papers and in your money or in whatever it is, by default, you are somehow an alleged criminal. And it's the same thing when we talk about people that wish to use encryption. The government has come out and said, we're going to take a much harder look at people who utilize encryption in their internet traffic.
Right, and some of those words you used came directly from the Fourth Amendment, which is, one of the things that I allegedly have, right, like the government worshipers say government gives me rights. Okay, well, like they give me the right to be secure in my person, paper, property, and effects.
Right.
The article here, or rather the press release, continues that VanEck is alleged to have received funds from the infamous computer intrusions or the hack of Mt. Gox, which was an earlier digital currency exchange that eventually failed, in part due to losses attributable to a hack. The indictment from the DOJ alleges that VanEck obtained funds from the hack of Mt. Gox and laundered those funds through various online exchanges, including his own BTC-e and a now defunct digital currency exchange, TradeHill, that was based in California. So I'm guessing this is the sort of string here to where the U.S. government is claiming jurisdiction over this guy. Well, one of his businesses was based in the U.S., so therefore we've got jurisdiction over everything he did, ever.
Right.
Did he jaywalk at some point? You're going to charge him with that, too? This is Free Talk Live, 855-450 free. Your calls and thoughts welcome.
Have you ever thought about mining Bitcoin? Did the costs, constant equipment upgrades, and maintenance scare you off? Do you want to make Bitcoin every day in the same mining pool that Ian and I do? Pool.bitcoin.com. There's a 100% uptime guarantee. The website's easy to use, and you can calculate what you're going to make right there on the website at pool.bitcoin.com. Help steer Bitcoin towards the liberating currency that Satoshi Nakamoto meant it to be. I'm not just making money at pool.bitcoin.com. I'm doing activism while I sleep. Pool.bitcoin.com. What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, July 27th, 2017. Silver is trading at $16.79 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,264 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 4.9 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $2,586. Antiwar.com reports Taliban forces attacked an Afghan military base in the Kandahar province, overrunning the base and killing at least 26 soldiers, wounding 13 others. Locals say hundreds of Taliban attacked the base in all directions and the battle lasted for hours. The death tolls appear to be very much in dispute. 26 is the minimum reported killed, but the initial Afghan intelligence report said 40 were slain and the Taliban itself claimed to have killed over 70 soldiers. The Afghani Defense Ministry claimed to have killed or wounded around 80 Taliban. The Afghan Defense Ministry also confirmed that 7 soldiers were kidnapped in the incident and that there are another 21 soldiers missing outright. The Taliban confirmed that they had taken 7 captives in the raid. Also significant, the Taliban reported that in overrunning the base, they seized large amounts of weapons and vehicles that were at the site at the time. This has become a growing problem, with the Taliban increasingly securing large amounts of U.S.-provided weapons from Afghan military and police in such fighting. Born into a devastating world and raised among the crowd, the Cloudwalker assumes a new identity and begins the unrelenting quest for truth. In this epic journey, he discovers dark secrets about aspects of his previous life that he once trusted. Through the Journal of the Cloudwalker, he shares both the traumatic hardships and the eternal beauties of his experiences. Dear Society by the Cloudwalker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. UPI reports the Transportation Security Administration announced Wednesday that it will require passengers to remove all electronics larger than a cell phone, such as tablets and e-readers, from their carry-on bags due to an increased threat in aviation security. The electronics will have to be placed in a bin and put through an X-ray screener, similar to how laptops are currently handled. The TSA said it had been doing pilot testing of the increased screening at 10 airports across the country and will eventually expand to all U.S. airports in the coming months. In addition, TSA said passengers passengers could experience more bag checks when going through security, but said it had improved screening procedures with quicker, more targeted measures to clear the bags. Acting TSA Administrator Hubin A. Gawadia said it is critical for TSA to constantly enhance and adjust security screening procedures to stay ahead of evolving threats and keep passengers safe. By separating personal electronic items such as laptops, tablets, and e-readers and handheld game consoles for screening, TSA officers can more closely focus on resolving alarms and stopping terror threats. TSA advises passengers to keep their electronics organized and easily accessible in their carry-on bags to keep the lines moving. The new security measures come 1 month after DHS Secretary John Kelly announced he would push for more stringent security measures to be enforced in airports. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports President Donald Trump said on Wednesday he would ban transgender people from the U.S. military, a move appealing to some in his conservative political base, but sowing confusion about the fate of thousands of transgender individuals in the military. The surprise announcement by Trump, who as a presidential candidate last year vowed to fight for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people, came in a series of morning Twitter posts. It drew condemnation from rights groups and some lawmakers in both parties as discrimination with purely political motives, but was praised by conservative activists and some Republicans. Trump spokeswoman Sarah Sanders said the administration had not yet decided whether transgender service members already in the military would be immediately thrown out, saying the White House and Pentagon would have to work that out. The decision reverses a policy from former President Barack Obama and halts years of efforts to eliminate barriers to military service based on sexual orientation or gender identity. Trump tweeted, "After consultation with my generals and military experts, please be advised that the United States government will not accept or allow transgender individuals to serve in any capacity in the U.S. military." Trump did not name any of the generals or experts. The Pentagon referred questions about Trump's decision to the White House. The tweet caught some White House officials by surprise. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
This is The Onion Week in Review. In light of reports this week of a Russian crime ring stealing 1.2 billion username and password combinations from internet users, experts from top security firms across the country reportedly advised Americans to refrain from clicking on anything at all. The nation's top security specialists warned individuals to actively avoid any scrolling or swiping on the internet, and further urged Americans, as an added precaution, to steer clear of buttons, keyboards, and computer screens altogether. In other news, an employer botches a job interview. A date's flaws are coming at a woman faster than she can rationalize them, and a going out of business sign thanks a neighborhood for 3 months of no support whatsoever. Whether or not this video news summary eased the pain of your existence, you can now take solace in the fact that you're a few minutes closer to departing this meaningless world. For more, keep checking theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Kicking off our number 3 in studio, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And we just spent a good bit of time covering the arrest of Alexander Vinnik, the Russian man who was arrested in Greece by the U.S. federal government. There were about a dozen various entities involved in the investigation and the arrest there. And one of the things that happened in that case was a little bit of asset forfeiture. And we discussed this briefly, I think, last week, where Attorney General Jeff Sessions decided to undo Attorney General Eric Holder's sort of regulation, if you will, and that's not even the right term.
It was just sort of a directive.
A directive. That's the term I was looking for, where there was the directive that said that in most cases, and there were
leaves
some
the door
people,
open there.
Right.
Yeah.
It does leave the door open, but there were some places a couple years ago when Holder issued the directive that were saying, federal asset forfeiture is now illegal because Holder said a thing. Well, no, it was only in most cases, very small exceptions, but exceptions nonetheless. But Jeff Sessions undid those, issued a directive saying you can do this federal equitable sharing on everything now.
Yeah, I think it's just a trend under the Trump administration. And, of course, people will bash me for being anti-Trump now. But they're bringing back a lot of the law and order, war on drugs ideals that Obama let slip a little bit.
Before we get into the article, and again, your article's from the Washington Post about why civil asset forfeiture will not die. And there's a huge difference between civil asset forfeiture and criminal asset forfeiture.
Sure.
Civil asset forfeiture does not require that the person ever be charged with or convicted of anything.
Right.
There's just an allegation, there's that word again, allegation that, well, we think this is connected to something illegal. It's now up to you to prove it's not.
Oh, I got an example for you. There was, it's a while back, but on Cape Cod, Massachusetts, there was, mind you, Massachusetts has a ton of laws, both federal, state, and local. It's just nothing but government there. And there was a guy that owned a hotel along Route 28 in Yarmouth. And I believe the law is like, if you own like a hotel motel type thing, like people are only allowed to stay there for so many consecutive days. Otherwise, it becomes like renting, which is regulated differently.
Okay.
And so there was a lot of people that would stay at these little motels along Route 28 in Yarmouth. And if you would stay there like over, I can't remember the exact number of days, but they would leave for one day and go stay somewhere else and then come back in order to comply with laws.
Okay.
Well, apparently this one guy was allegedly letting people stay there like and pay month to month or week to week and month to month and like overstayed. So the state ended up coming in and seizing his entire business. Like took his whole business because he let people pay. People voluntarily chose to live in the building that he owns and paid him money, and government said, no, you can't do that. You can't let these people stay here this many consecutive days.
They're not staying the right way.
They took his property, and then they sold it off.
Well,
and you know what they ended up doing? They ended up making it a place for like low income. I'm like,
right.
Well, here's the question, and this determines whether it was civil or criminal forfeiture. Was he ever convicted of anything?
I don't think so. I think
then that was civil. With criminal asset forfeiture,
it's kind of like you just give us the property, we won't go do anything.
Oh no. Right, this gets really weird. But go ahead with your part, Darryl.
Criminal asset forfeiture requires that you be convicted of certain offenses. You be convicted, not just accused, not just charged, but actually convicted of certain offenses, and then they can take your stuff. Civil asset forfeiture, again, does not require a criminal charge or conviction.
So let me give you two examples, and these are real-world examples. This has happened a few times, so I'm just going to say a guy is driving coast to coast with $30,000 to $50,000 in cash.
Yep.
He's doing that because he wants to invest in a small business, or he wants to purchase a home, and this is all the money he has saved in his entire life, so he's going across. He gets pulled over in, say, Nebraska. Nebraska State Police pull him over. They search the vehicle for whatever reason. They come across all this cash, and they go, well, we don't normally see cash like this on the highway when we pull people over. Therefore, it must be involved in the drug trade. Therefore, we are seizing this $50,000. Now, the guy himself doesn't get charged. Maybe they do an investigation. They never come up with charges, but the police keep the money. And then if he wants to try to get his money back, he can't really sue because he's never been charged. The lawsuit then becomes the United States versus $50,000 in cash, or the state. And it is ridiculous that they can seize this stuff, hold on to it. Now, here's where the sharing part of it comes in. Let's say that Nebraska does this. Nebraska State Police do this under federal law. They're going to be allowed to keep like 80% of it. And
if they do the equitable sharing
right,
with the feds.
Right.
If they go under state statute,
sure.
And now there's 24 states that have some kind of limitation on the use of civil asset forfeiture.
Right.
And I'm convinced that that's the reason that Trump had Sessions issue this directive, was because so many states are now prohibiting the local police from doing civil asset forfeiture in most cases.
Right. But if you're a small police department, you have a small budget, and you want to get some new toys, you seize a whole bunch of cash, you claim it under federal law, and then 80% goes to you, 20% goes to them. And if your state or principality or locality or whatever hasn't come up with a law prohibiting you from doing so, that's a huge windfall. That can go towards raises. That can go towards new toys.
I know.
All kinds of stuff. Now,
the police wind up, they get accustomed to having that money.
Right.
When the bill when the bill went through the New Hampshire legislature a couple of years ago to prohibit civil asset forfeiture in most cases, the police unions were out in force saying simultaneously, like they were definitely involved in doublethink here.
Right.
They said simultaneously, we don't do this. If you prohibit this, our departments will lose money. And how will we wind up taking money from heroin dealers?
Right.
Well,
it's all the scare
if you
tactics.
take money from a heroin dealer that's been convicted of being a heroin dealer, that's criminal forfeiture, which
Right.
is not what we're here discussing today. If you don't use it, then how are you losing money?
Well,
right.
On the Cape or whatever, going back to the Cape where government's rampant everywhere, they do annual or not even annual. There's like a couple every year. Each department has their own little like police auctions where they auction off like cars, watches, gold bracelets, jewelry, bikes. They had must have had 50 bikes at this one auction.
So how much of that was actually criminal? That's always the question.
Yeah, and no, some of the stuff I'm like, what? This is like household items. Like, how did you get those? And why would you assume that was used in the?
Well,
because sometimes people will ride a bicycle to the McDonald's to hand off the paper baggie of drugs.
I'm going to give you one more example, and this one's a true story. I can't remember where it took place, but I'm going to be vague enough that I get it right. A gentleman and his wife put all their retirement money into buying a small hotel, which that was what they ran as they went into their golden years. Apparently, at this hotel, at some point, a couple people had been involved in drugs, and people had performed drug transactions in their rooms. The government caught the people involved and then seized their retirement, their hotel, under civil asset forfeiture, saying that they were, basically providing a place for drug transactions to take place.
McDonald's parking lots are also a place that drug transactions take place, but nobody's seizing McDonald's. This is Free Talk Live. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE.
Warning. If you've recently declared bankruptcy, you're going to want to cover your ears. Because there's an alternative to bankruptcy, and it could be better than you'd ever think possible. But if you've already declared bankruptcy and have missed this opportunity, you'll want to cover your ears now. Here it is. Right now, the company that has resolved more credit card debt than anyone in the U.S. may be able to settle your debt too. You could resolve your debt with one low monthly program payment. If you call right now and qualify, Freedom Debt Relief will show you how low your monthly program payment could be for free. Call now, 1-800-660-1581. That's 1-800-660-1581. If you're struggling with debt, this could be your answer. And the bigger your debt, the more money you could save. To find out for free how much of your hard-earned money Freedom Debt Relief could help you save, call now. 1-800-660-1581. 1-800-660-1581. 1-800-660-1581.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-765-9681 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-765-9681. Again, that's 800-765-9681.
If you're looking for work, there's a piece of paper more important than your resume. It's the cover letter attached if you're snail mailing, or the email to which you attach your resume. Make it 4 short paragraphs. Paragraph 1, say that you're applying for work. The person you're sending to gets a ton of mail about all sorts of things. If you have a password, that's your first sentence. Tom Nelson tells me you and I should meet. Paragraph 2, what you do and how that relates to the opening. Be as specific as possible. Paragraph 3, why you want this particular job. I'm originally from Boston, so I know the market well. I have family and friends in the area, so this would be a homecoming for me. Paragraph 4, unless the job posting stipulates no calls, and I will call you to follow up. Thank you in advance for your time. From survivalspeech.com, I'm Holland Cook.
You may already know about the Free Talk Live audio on demand phone line at 641-793-9660. Did you know that not only can you listen to Free Talk Live via your phone, you can also leave a message and have it delivered to Free Talk Live's hosts? To leave us your thoughts, just dial 641-793-9660. That's 641-793-9660. Press 2 for Free Talk Live, and then hit 0 to leave your message.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We'll get into the opinion piece from, what is this, the Washington Post you have, Chris?
WAPO, as people like to say these days.
Why civil asset forfeiture will not die. And I actually wound up finding the case that was running through my head. I'll touch on this before we get into the article. But first, I want to make sure that I tell you about a way that you can wind up saving money on things that you were going to buy anyway. Or maybe you're only going to buy it because you can wind up saving some money. That's fine, not judging, but go to saveatpurse.com. You can save 5, 10, 15, 20, 25%, up to 33% off of your Amazon purchases when you use Bitcoin or some other alternative cryptocurrencies on saveatpurse.com. So what happens is you put things into a wish list on Amazon. You then import those wish list into your Purse account once you create one at saveatpurse.com. And then you select the discount. You get the items. Once they arrive, you go back to the website and say, I have my items. And then somebody winds up getting the Bitcoin, and everybody is happy. Saveatpurse.com. It's Darryl, Heather, and Chris. And the case that I was thinking of, that the U.S. Supreme Court recently rejected hearing because, well, basically a paperwork error. The specifics here: James Leonard and Nikosa Kane were stopped on April 1st, 2013 for a traffic infraction in Texas. A search of the vehicle yielded the discovery of a safe in the trunk. Inside the safe, that was also inside the trunk, $201,100 and a bill of sale for a Pennsylvania home. The money was seized because law enforcement officials believed that it was substantially connected to criminal activity, including the sale of narcotics.
Based
James
on what?
Leonard,
Nothing.
based on it's not normal for somebody to have that much money and a bill of sale in their car. So, yeah, we're just going to go ahead and take that now. Well, here's the problem. The money did not belong to James Leonard or Nikosa Kane. The money belonged to James's mother, Lisa. Lisa Leonard was the rightful owner of the money that, again, was made from selling her house. She sued the government to regain it, but because, according to the courts, she did not raise a due process claim at the trial level, the Supreme Court declined her case, leaving her with no recourse. So we're just going to take this money.
Right.
And oh, you made a paperwork error? Sorry, you're out of luck.
Yeah, and while government does these things in the name of, pick your poison. It's the war on drugs. It's to prevent terrorism. It's to keep people from laundering money.
All those terrorists that are selling their house in Pennsylvania to start a new life.
Well, the point is, this is nothing more than theft. This is stealing. When even if it's the police and they take your goods and they don't charge you with a crime, they refuse to give them back or make you go to court to beg a judge to grant you back what is rightfully yours. It is theft. It is immoral, and it is sanctioned by our governments. This stuff has to stop, and this is where I want to go into this opinion piece because I think this guy nails it. That Attorney General Jeff Sessions would resurrect a controversial federal program for civil asset forfeiture isn't surprising. He has long been one of the rare advocates for the policy, a vestige of the war on drugs restricted by the Obama administration that allowed local and state law enforcement officials to use federal law to seize and keep property suspected of crime. But his announcement last week that the Justice Department was expanding the practice nonetheless perfectly illustrates the stubborn persistence of civil asset forfeiture. Liberals and conservatives alike despise it. Both the American Civil Liberties Union and the Charles Koch Institute have lobbied against it.
Now, something is bad when both the ACLU and the Koch Institute are against it.
Sure. Achieving legitimate success at both federal and state levels. Meanwhile, supporters of civil forfeiture, almost exclusively from the law enforcement community, are far and few between.
And we'll continue with this opinion piece. Your calls and thoughts come first. We've got Ian calling in from California. Ian, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yeah, I was just telling your screener that I was listening to, I believe it was Fresh Air with Terry Gross yesterday on NPR, and I'm driving a truck, so I was kind of giving it half of my attention. But I perked up when he got to the point where he said that the female lawyer that was involved with Kushner at the Trump Plaza that they've been having this big controversy about was somebody that he was familiar with. He had some kind of a business in Russia where it sounded pretty shady and possibly was involving money laundering. And he got in there right after the Russian government decided to flip from being an oligarchy to a democratic type of a type of government. And he was making bazillions of dollars. And at a certain point, the people that were involved all of a sudden started getting kind of penalized by Putin for 50% of the taxes. Like at first it was like you don't have to pay any taxes. And once they got established, then it became apparent what was happening where Putin was going to be skimming about half of it and making himself the richest man in the world type thing. Now, this guy said that he got all his employees out of the country at a certain point, and then some kind of agency went into his business after he was gone and got a bunch of his paperwork and everything, and something to do with stamps and something or other. I can't remember what he said, but he had a lawyer go in after him and try to figure out what was going on. And that guy was subsequently tortured and killed. And it is supposedly a pretty big deal about like maybe a year ago where the law that was enacted in Congress was named after this guy. He was some kind of a lawyer, like I said, and there was even a little snippet of John McCain saying what a brave guy he was and stuff like that. So it's not, you know, an unheard of, apparently it was a big deal. And I just thought it was a strange coincidence that all of a sudden this guy is picked up in Greece. I was kind of thinking that guy was living dangerously, not only, you know, making himself, he apparently wrote a book, and I wish I'd remembered his name. There, you know, if it wasn't.
Are you talking about Alexander Vinnick, the guy that we were talking about last hour, the alleged operator of BTC-e?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I didn't get the guy's name yesterday, but
some parallels.
Quite coincidentally, it's very similar.
Yeah, interesting.
It probably is him, and he wrote a book. Is that possible?
It's possible. Ian, thank you for the call. Your call and thoughts. Welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And why will civil asset forfeiture just not die already?
If there's a toxic chemical, biological, gas, smoke emergency while traveling, at home, or on your job, are you protected? Are you prepared? There are over 400,000 fires in the USA every year. Up to 85% of all deaths in a fire are due to smoke inhalation. 3 minutes without air, and we as humans will die. Be prepared and escape safely with our Safe Escape smoke hoods, giving you up to 60 minutes of breathable air protection. Order yours online at ase-safety.com. That's ase-safety.com. And get up to 40% off, plus free shipping.
Fully cooked, ready-to-eat bacon. I'm talking thick, meaty, center-cut presidential bacon. Savory and delicious. I buy some, I use some, I store some. Awesome. No refrigeration needed with a 10-year shelf life. NASA pack technology. Bacon. Fully cooked, fully hydrated, ready to eat right from the packed bacon. Or warm and served. Life-saving, ready-to-eat bacon. 10-year shelf life bacon. Ships free at fullycookedbacon.com. Fullycookedbacon.com.
Free Talk Live.
Ms. Maxwell's local council has decided that the pool, which is only 2 feet deep, needs a lifeguard. It's a kiddie pool. As if the lifeguard wasn't enough, she's also been told she must have insurance. The health and safety edict came after she wrote to the city council asking for permission to put a bigger pool in the communal garden outside her home. That was her mistake, asking for permission rather than forgiveness. But nonetheless, not only was she told it was too dangerous, but the council told her to empty the existing pool. The Portsmouth manager defended the ruling yesterday. Nigel Selly said, "We didn't have sufficient assurances that the risks associated with providing such a facility would be well managed. It's a facility. How dare you? How dare you erect this structure on your property?
It's an inflatable pool.
Without our permission."
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. In studio, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And we're talking about one of the favorite things that the police like to do. And we're not talking about the band from the 80s. No. We're talking about the people with the little shiny badges that like to take your stuff and then never actually charge you with a crime. And, well, they wind up charging the stuff. So, City of Keene, New Hampshire versus 1997 Ford F-150.
Right.
United States government versus $217,412.14 in cash.
Yep.
And while those might not actually be cases that have been filed, they're not far off. There was the case in Pennsylvania a couple years ago where it was the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus $72,000.
Yeah.
That was the case.
Yeah.
And then the guy who had the money stolen from him had to pay a bunch of money to fight it, to say that, nope, that money wasn't connected to anything illegal. Give me my money back.
Right. No, prove it. Prove the negative.
Yes.
Prove that there's no way that...
It's the when did you stop beating your wife question. Only there's actually, a thing of value connected to you trying to prove that you never beat your wife.
Right. Yeah.
So, Chris, you've got the opinion piece here from the Washington Post. Why civil asset forfeiture simply won't die.
Yeah, and the piece talked a little bit about how this has been around for a long time. It's controversial. It has opponents both on the far right and the far left, I think one could say safely.
Yes.
And that despite all this, the Trump administration just doesn't want to let go of it. Because, and I'm going to get back into probably a paragraph I've already read, but yet civil asset forfeiture refuses to die. It remains an embarrassing fixture of our criminal justice system, wandering like a zombie with an affinity for pickpocketing. Why? Probably because police have become addicted to the revenue stream it provides. Conservatives often argue that it's impossible to rescind welfare programs once people become accustomed to them. Perhaps that logic is better suited for law enforcement officers who don't want to give up their slush funds. Sessions suggested that this pretty strongly in his directive last week. In public remarks, the Attorney General said that law-abiding people whose property is used without their knowledge for illegal purposes should, quote, not be punished because of crimes that others have committed, unquote. But his directive explicitly allows Justice Department officials to seize such property, provided that they do so, quote, with particular caution.
But
unquote.
even if they don't use particular caution, as long as they act in good faith,
right,
the courts are going to allow it. And then that there was a quote that Sessions made where he pointed out, rightly, very sadly, it's right, where he pointed out that 4 out of 5 people who have things stolen from them by police through civil asset forfeiture never go to court to try to claim the stuff. And he used that to prove that only guilty people have stuff stolen from them. No. The statistics show that the average seizure is less than $10,000.
Right, and you'll spend way more than that trying to get your $10,000 back.
Right. So why should I spend $50,000 to get $10,000 back, other than the principle of I didn't do it?
Right. So repeat after me. I live in a free country. I live in a free country. I live in a free country.
It's like, the Bill Hicks thing. You are free to do as we tell you. You are free to do as we tell you.
Right. This story continues, but his directive explicitly allows Justice Department officials to seize such property, provided they do it with particular caution. It's not about the money. If it's not about the money, what reasonable reason for seizing the property of law-abiding people could there be?
Well, the argument, and I'm going to play devil's advocate here, is they're not law-abiding. There's even a book that says 3 felonies a day, so nobody is innocent in this country, Chris. Nobody is a law-abiding citizen.
Right.
I guess it wouldn't be like, what I don't get, like, because I know there's a lot of people out there that are champions of government and, all of their activities, and, like, you make a post about it on Facebook, and there's always that one person that's like, just do what you're told,
Right.
Just do what you're told is what you tell a hostage.
My big thing is like, fine, you want to be whatever, like making excuses, fine, but don't promote these crazy ideas like this is the land of the free, home of the brave, like, while simultaneously justifying like this intrusion of freedom. You know what I mean? It's like
complete doublethink. And I've
been
then
saying
re-listening.
like, these same people though are the ones that are like supporting wars and stuff that are like, oh, the terrorists don't like us for our freedom. Again, like, what is it?
If
like,
that
are
were
we
the
free,
case,
or are we not?
the terrorists would have given up a long time ago, because they've obviously...
Because you are completely
not free.
delusional if you are living in America and paying for things like yard sale permits while saying that we're free.
We're the freest country in the world.
That is the least free. I mean, sure, maybe in some countries they don't have things to sell on their lawn because they're just, you know what I mean, in a third world country, but at the same time, you can't claim that this is a free country.
But again, it's complete doublethink. And anybody that's never listened to the audiobook of 1984 or never read the physical book,
right,
I highly recommend you do so. I'm almost done re-listening to the audiobook, and they explain doublethink several times throughout the book, and I'll explain it. Spoiler warning, the book came out 70 years ago.
Oh, boy.
Doublethink is when you hold contradictory opinions, but you don't see them as contradictory.
Right.
We're the freest country in the world, but just do what you're told and you won't get hurt.
Right.
Jump through all of the hoops and hurdles, pay your taxes, but you're free, and taxation's the price you pay to live in society.
Grew up with all of these slogans and stuff like ingrained into my brain because my dad was in the military, so I was always going to the military. I used to go to the air shows on the base where they'd have like all the F-15s, and they'd have the Blue Angels that would do these cool things in the sky, and they'd play chicken, and it was like a whole performance of jets and stuff.
It's fun.
So I grew up around the military life of everybody waving the flag, championing freedom, all of this other stuff, and then it's like you turn around, and I'll never forget it when the military screwed my dad over, first of all, and took him off of pay when they weren't supposed to, told him to go apply for food stamps and Medicaid after like 30 years in the service. So, I mean, I've seen firsthand how they'll chew up the same people that they're putting badges on, making them feel all special, and then chew you up, spit you out when you're no longer doing their bidding. I saw that with my dad, and it's just, the whole system's just a joke. I mean, it really is.
And believe me, I still hold pride in the United States. I
do too.
I do. I mean, I like living here. There are certain aspects of it I don't like, but there is some part of me, and maybe this is just programming, but I still hold, it's sort of the hometown pride.
That's what I have. I
do,
feel like...
but that doesn't, and I would be a worse person if I didn't speak up when I see it going down the tubes, when I see it doing things that are so contrary to the ideals of what our country was founded on, that if I didn't speak up, I'd be guilty of double think. You know,
it's kind of like watching a family member become an alcoholic. You're like, man, I love you, but this is not who you are. Like, stop doing this.
We need an intervention here.
Let's go to
America's
the phones.
All drugged up right now.
We've got Patch calling in from Illinois. Patch, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yeah. Hey, you guys don't know the tip of the iceberg about what the police get away with.
Oh, no. We only host talk radio and talk about it like 7 nights a week.
Yeah, trust me. I was forced to ride in my dad's squad car since I was 7 years old when I was supposed to be in school. And a major city.
Ooh.
Now, I was forced to do that all the time. For months at a time, I wasn't allowed to go to school.
All right. Hold that thought, Patch. We'll bring you back. We want to hear about the 7-year-old being forced to ride in a squad car. And possibly more on this civil asset forfeiture opinion piece from the Washington Post. And possibly time for you and your thoughts. 855-450-FREE. This is Free Talk Live.
Dash is digital cash, a digital currency designed to replace cash and help people manage their own wealth. It's fast and easy, fees are low, and transactions are confirmed instantly. Pay anyone, anywhere in the world, anytime, for just pennies on the dollar. Dash is the first digital money that's governed by its users. Join Dash at dash.org and help build a better financial system for everyone. Find out more at dash.org.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
A great president once said, "The 9 most feared words in the English language. I am from the government and I'm here to help. Adequacy of loss absorbing capacity. You call that help? That's the mandate approved by the G20. The banks can steal your money. Well, they can't steal your gold and silver. That you fully control. You can have it delivered into an IRA at a depository under lock and key, where you can hide it where no one can find it, not even your wife. What? Sorry, honey. Your CDs, money market accounts, and savings accounts are all at risk. Call GSI Exchange at 800-474-9159. We have 75 years of market experience. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. 800-474-9159. Call now and get a free bank failure survival guide. 800-474-9159.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com. DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Possibly time for you and your thoughts if you call in now. And before we get back to the phones, we've got a caller calling in from Illinois. Says that we don't know the tip of the iceberg about police corruption, because he was forced to ride in a squad car when he was like 7 years old. His dad was on the police force in a major city in Illinois. We'll get back to that call. But first, I want to invite you to try the best pillow that you will ever try. And you can do so risk-free for 60 days. I'm talking about My Pillow. Now, you can't actually get mine because it's mine, but you can get your very own My Pillow designed to fit to the shape of your body and hold your neck in the proper position. I've been using this thing for probably a year and a half now, and it's the best pillow I've ever used. And unlike a regular pillow, you can actually throw your dirty My Pillow into the washing machine, throw it into the dryer, and it's still usable and fluffy and will, again, continue to hold your head and neck in the proper position. Go to mypillow.com. Use code FTL, as in Free Talk Live, and get your very own My Pillow at half price, or get a second pillow free of charge. And remember, if you don't like it for some odd reason in the first 60 days, you get your money back minus the shipping. And the pillow itself is guaranteed to last 10 years. That's mypillow.com, code FTL. We go back to Patch calling in from Illinois. Patch, you're back on Free Talk Live, and you said that when you were 7 years old, and I'm presuming that was probably a good many years ago,
starting at 7.
You were forced to ride in a squad car with your father. So give us one really good story of riding in a squad car.
Well, I would see them, if there was a serious crime that they didn't want to deal with, they wouldn't be reported. Now, the Civil Asset Forfeiture stuff went on for years, and it still has all the way until he retired. But they would actually take some of that equipment that they took home or sell it. And sometimes they wouldn't even get out of the squad car.
Right. You're saying just police in general, without involving civil asset forfeiture, they would just
confiscate things from people.
Right. Never report it.
Even drugs. Now, my friends even seen the drugs that were confiscated that were sold afterwards. Okay?
Yep.
And they even seen the bags of cash that my own father would put in the car. And he said as long as he had that badge, he can do anything. Now, whenever he didn't put me in a squad car, my second year, I was only in school for about 2 months. And whenever I wasn't in the squad car, my babysitter was handcuffed to the bed by my ankles. So and whenever he would flip out, he would actually put me in the hospital. And the hospital where he worked at would just patch me up well enough and do surgeries on me, and then I got to go back with him. So they actually stopped Child and Family Services from finding me. So that's why I was always in the car with him.
Wow.
And I actually know of a serious case that at the time when me and a friend of mine reported it, the incident, my father would not let either one of us report it. And that guy wound up to be a serial killer, and he killed a lot of people. And when we tried to talk about it, he said, the next time you'll have a feeding tube sticking out of you in the hospital.
Wow, that's pretty bad, Patch.
So what happened to him now? Where is he now?
He hasn't been calling me, threatening me.
Is he still a police officer?
He retired as a federal police officer, and he kept his badge.
Oh, how nice.
And he actually married 2 women at the same time. And now, because he would hook up with young girls and bring them home and then promise to do things for them. And so now they're stealing my identity, and they actually tried to put me on his death certificate. So, and then when I try to talk to the police about it, they find out who he is, and they're like, we don't want to get involved.
Patch, thank you for the call. Let's go to Jack calling in from Gilsum, New Hampshire. Jack, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
1995, Representative Congressman Henry Hyde wrote a book called Forfeiting Our Property Rights. Is Your Property Safe from Seizure? And in there, he listed some cases where there were large parcels of land that were taken by federal, state, and local agencies in conjunction. They were all in cahoots on particular properties. One comes to mind out in California. There was a fellow had a 200-acre ranch in L.A. County, and the L.A. County Sheriff's, the National Park Service, and several local law enforcement agencies got a tip from an anonymous source that there was some marijuana being grown on the property. There was no marijuana on the property, but they raided the house anyway, kicked in the door, and when he came down the hallway with a handgun in his hand because his wife was screaming, they shot him dead in his house. And that's just one case of many that have taken place across the country. So Henry Hyde actually put this book together. It's only about 90 pages. I loaned my original copy out years ago, and I just found another copy on Amazon, so I picked it up, and I'd be willing to drop it off so you could read it. It's some pretty good and interesting stuff in there. But he outlined in 1995 what needed to be done. So here we are 22 years later, and we're still looking at the same situation. And it's disturbing to me, that at any point in time, for whatever reason, they can come in and take your property without any compensation on trumped-up charges from people that we don't know that are being paid as informants, but with our tax dollars.
Right, and a lot of times there don't even need to be charges. They can just take the property, and then it's up to you to prove that the property was not connected to anything illegal,
or that they even took it in the first place.
I think
there's situations right here in Cheshire County, actually, right up through the Connecticut River estuary.
Sure.
The Silvio Conti Wildlife Refuge, where they're looking to, take people's property if they don't want to sell. We see this happen everywhere across the country.
Oh, come on, Jack. They only want to take, 53% of your town?
Yeah, just 53. and the state RSA says that they can only own 5 of any town.
RSAs being the revised statutes annotated. It's what they call the laws here in New Hampshire.
Yeah, it goes on all over the place. And we're talking about civil asset forfeiture, which is a very narrow scope of how governments make legal ways to steal the fruits of your labor.
Right.
This is just one example. And you're right, through regulatory acts like Silvio Conte or the American Antiquities Act and the claim of, this land now belongs to the Bureau of Land Management. And they're going to do it like
I believe all of these things fall under what Frederick Bastiat would call legal plunder.
Yeah, it's nuts. You're absolutely right. And it's great to hear from you, Jack.
Jack, thank you for the call. And that book, again, Forfeiting Our Rights by former Congressman Henry Hyde. It appears to be available from Amazon, and Cato also appears to have it as well. Let's go to Sarah calling in from New Mexico. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yeah, I just want to say the media is trying to, and the city clerk is trying to cheat us out of 2 polling places for the first 2 weeks. What they're saying is that early voting will start September 13th, but it actually starts August 29th.
Ah, sneaky.
And they're omitting it.
So why do you think the media is trying to tell people the wrong voting days? Or do you think that it's possible that, whatever memo some media person got had a typo in it? Or do you think there's some grand conspiracy from the Illuminati to, wind up lying to the voters of Albuquerque?
No, hold on. You're saying this happens. You're saying this happens almost every election?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, they lied 20 times giving wrong dates the last presidential election. So this is calculated, done on the city clerk part, too, because their website is omitting the 2 weeks. They list the 2 location record center and the city clerk, but they don't tell you what it is.
Right.
They call it in-person absentee voting, and nobody knows what that means. It's just an early voting place. They print the ballot. When you're done, you feed it through the machine reads it. But they print the website, so nobody knows what is going on. It's a way of...
so you're saying that they're using the actual term that's in statute where it's legally called in-person absentee voting.
But
that's what it's called in statute.
Yeah.
The legal term is not early voting. They're using the statutory term that they came up with. Sarah, that's not lying to people when they use the actual terms. Thank you for
if
the call.
Sarah runs for office out there, I'm moving there, I'm voting for, and then I'm moving back.
She's never going to run because that would require her to get off her couch and go collect signatures to get on the ballot.
My offer stands.
If you did not get on tonight, call back earlier tomorrow. We're on every night of the week. This is Free Talk Live. Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings